said, why don't you take these 5 pages, go out in the hallway and memorize them. And I went out, and this other guy had the same note. And I looked at him and I said, I'll help you, you help me. Whoever wins, wins. And
oh my God.
they called me in, and I couldn't remember the guy that I was supposed to eventually give up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I stalled, and then I confessed. And the guy's like, I just loved how you didn't want to give the guy up, you know? So I shouldn't have got the role at all, you know?
This is the Actor's Guide to the Underworld podcast. I'm Econ Song, and this is the co-host with the most.
Rianchi Kelly, how you doing?
We talk about acting in Hollywood in a way people understand. We're everywhere you can find your podcast at Actor's Guide Podcast. We're on all social media at Actor's Guide Podcast. If you want to do us a favor, help support the podcast, share this with a friend, maybe give us a 5-star rating. Really helps people find the podcast. Now, this is a special episode. Friend of the podcast and an actor, teacher, producer, Mickey O'Sullivan. Mickey just has such an interesting insight on how he looks at his career. He went from working at Greenpeace to now recurring on Mayor of Kingstown, Chicago PD. He's a former hockey player. We talk a lot about grit and how that translates into acting and navigating the entertainment industry. Please enjoy this episode with Mickey O'Sullivan.
When we started this podcast, you were one of the first people who kind of gave your support. You gave us some encouragement. You liked what we were doing. And I didn't know you. And I just looked at your social media. I was like, you look like a guy who knows what he's doing. And it was a huge compliment when we were getting this started. So I'm so glad that you could come on. And this is a long time coming.
Well, you're actually the first person that I started to see talking about some of the issues that we were facing from the actors front about the casting sites and just some of the kind of like front-facing issues that actors face. And so that was nice. I had been talking about a lot of this stuff for a while now. And
yeah, I could see that.
I kind of felt like I was shouting into a void. And so when you started posting that, you're an intelligent guy. And also, you did it in a way, like, man, I'm such a fucking boomer about it. I get on my keyboard and I'm like, tick, 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 tick. And you came out with this fucking beautifully produced video with all the problems, and you're pointing to like little buttons. And I was like, this guy's got. Somebody actually sent me you, and they're like, this guy is doing it right. And I was like, heard, thanks.
Wow, that's amazing. That's awesome. Well, I appreciate that.
I just want to say as well, sorry, just to intro Mickey, for those of you who don't know him yet, and you will, you've had a really wonderful, varied career. You know, you've got a ton of credits under your belt, a ton of great shows, movies like Captive State with John Goodman, right? John Goodman's in that. The Shy, Chicago PD.
Mayor Kingstown.
Most recently, Mayor of Kingstown, new season of Mayor of Kingstown. Those are just a few highlights, but you've had an incredible career. You've a wonderful approach to it. I've always admired it, and we've known each other for quite a while now, and I've always admired your kind of innovation and your commitment to doing things in a better way and finding better ways to do things, whether it's acting technique or your approach to the business. You've got so much energy and positivity, and I don't know, you've just been really, really inspiring to me. So I just want to set that up before we get into
before
this,
we take
before we just absolutely eviscerate you and just tell you what you've been doing wrong so far.
All right.
We're going to talk a lot about the business, but I just want to know a little bit. So where'd you grow up?
I was born in New York. My parents split when I was like 2.5 or so. Thank God, they were terrible for each other. And my mom came back to Chicago, where her family is. My dad stayed in New York, and then my father's from Ireland as well.
Your dad is from where?
My dad's from Cork.
Yes, he is.
A proud Irishman. He's actually back there now. He's actually in Kerry now.
I was going to say your last name, I would say it's pretty Irish.
Yeah, no, it's the most Hispanic name you'll ever hear. Yeah, it's. I think it's done me a good service. It tells people exactly who I am. I play a lot of cops.
Yes, you do.
A lot of them, cops and crooks, and sometimes crooks who are cops. That's the funny thing about playing cops on TV shows. You're like, wow. In all of these stories, you have to break the law in order to serve the law. It makes no sense.
Yeah, it's funny how that works out.
I grew up primarily in Chicago with my mom. Spent some summers in Ireland with my dad, and I acted when I was a baby. I was on I think my mom was doing this thing. She spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to get us out of the house, how to get herself a breathing space. And so we would go on these auditions. We were with an acting agency, my brother and I. And, like, I had started doing all of these, like, diaper ads with, like, Raven Simone from That's So Raven. And, like, we became good friends and audition buddies.
Those are the sweet gigs when you're 2.
No shit. Yeah. I also did one for, like, I think it was a Smokey the Bear, or, like, I did one Smokey the Bear one, and then I did one that was, like, this is your kid now. Do you know where he is now? Like, this is your kid then, and it's me behind, like, a crib bars. And then it's like, fast forward, like, don't let your kids do drugs or something.
So you were playing criminals ever since you were little.
I never made that connection.
You were born for it. That's amazing.
That's funny, man. So yeah, I did that. Then when I moved to Chicago, I kind of stopped doing that. And my mom just became full-on single mom and no time to go to auditions or anything like that. I think I auditioned for, like, the Home Alone 3 movie or something like that in Chicago. But that was it. And then I just did some school plays here and there. I started playing hockey. And that was my life. I thought I would be, like, a hockey player or a general manager for a team or something like that.
Still time.
There's still time. No. But yeah, so I moved away from home, came back, I blew out my knee, and my theater director in high school was like, quit smoking pot after school and doing nothing, and maybe smoke pot after school and come do plays. It was time to go to school at college. I didn't really know what I was going to do. So I applied as a special education major with a double in theater performance. And I realized pretty quickly in my first year, I was like, how do I say this without sounding like an absolute jackass? It would take, both careers take everything. I can't be a special education teacher and then be, like, on the side trying to hustle as an actor. And I can't be an actor who's going to be in class all day with students who really need me. And I had my heart in the special education department, but I wasn't very good at it. Like, I'm not a good student. And I was pretty good at this other thing. And so I was like, I think for hockey, I had to work so hard to be good. I had to work so hard to be even, like, make the bottom teams, and I was constantly pushing myself. And for acting, when my theater teacher in high school pulled me aside, like, I was in some of those leading roles almost immediately with people who had been acting consistently since they were much younger. So that was kind of a wake-up call for me. So stopped doing, I don't think I ever told my parents that I stopped doing the special education major. I was just kind of hoping they wouldn't find out. But then I never graduated. I left before. I took only theater credits there. I was like, okay, well, I have, like, years of catch-up. Like, I just worked on a TV show with Taylor Handley, and I realized he was in my favorite movie growing up, which was Phantom of the Megaplex. It's like this Disney Halloween movie with Mickey Rooney in it. And I was like, that's a good example. Like, he's been acting since he was so young. And I have all this catch-up work to do. So if I'm taking my fucking algebra class and my history class in college instead of taking puppetry and mask and stage combat, and I think I'm missing the point. I think I got to go all in on this other thing. And, so my senior year came around and I went to my counselor and I was like, how long until I can graduate? And he was like, well, you got to take all these prerequisites, so you'll be here for another 2.5 years.
Thank you and good night.
And you're like, okay, I'm out. and scene. There is a through line here. So I actually went to school in Chicago. I also am originally from the East Coast, so you do have a little roots on the East Coast. This says a lot about your work ethic and your character. You're saying that you're playing catch up, but I can argue you were booking big money when you were 2. You also happen to essentially be a child actor, kind of go in and out of growing up. Your work ethic didn't really waver. When did you feel like you first became a working actor?
That's a good question. I think even in college, I was constantly trying to figure out, like, again, how can I do this more? Like, what I learned from hockey was I have energy. I've got it to give, and I am extremely self-motivated, and I like to learn on my own. I need a lot of reps. Like, I need to do it a lot in order to feel comfortable and confident. and enjoy it, which I think is the most important part. And so when I was in college, I'd be going up to like graduate students. I'd be like, hey, do you have a scene that I can work on? Can I be a part of this? I don't go to my gen ed, so I've got all the time in the world.
You had some free time.
Yeah, I have free time, and I was trying to use it. So I was doing, I think at the end of college, I had done like something like 50 or something different like productions on different scales. And then I was doing community theater during the summer there. I'd stay in town and I'd do community theater, and then I'd do some professional theater as well. I was like a kid wrangler for a show in Bloomington Normal. And then, so I was hired by Illinois Shakespeare Festival. And at the time, I had just broken up with my college sweetheart, and we were all staying at the same like Shakespeare housing. And she started dating this guy that lived right next door to me.
Classic.
And
Oh,
we
no.
ended in a pretty amicable, but like it was a passionate relationship. And so like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. And so I called my dad and I was like, hey, here's the deal. I'm done with school and I need to get out. And he was like, great, get on a train and come and stay with me. And I started working for his building. He's a superintendent of a building in Yonkers. And I started working as a janitor there. I'd work really early in the morning and I'd work really late at night. And then I'd go into Manhattan and I'd just audition all day. And so on my way there, one of my mentors in college, Chris Marino, I was like, hey, here's the deal. I'm moving. I'm going to do the thing. Do you have any advice? He was like, create an Actors Access profile, submit on jobs. And if you're going to be in Washington, D.C. in 2 weeks, I've got a role for you in this thing called Bootleg Shakespeare. And there's this company in D.C. They rent out the Folger Shakespeare Theater there. It's a beautiful theater. And they do this thing called Bootleg Shakespeare where they hire actors from all over the country to come in for one day. These people are on Broadway. They're doing TV shows or whatever. And they show up memorized, totally memorized on their part.
Wow.
And they block the thing in the morning. They put it up at night. It's a sold out show. They do this like crazy thing like that show they did this massive lightsaber fight where they turned down all the lights in the middle of the show, just like as if it went out.
Cool.
There was a
That's
fight
awesome.
to get in. Like people were upset. Like a bunch of Shakespeare nerds are fighting
And this is in
outside of the
DC?
theater.
Yeah.
And that's in DC. So I stayed
That's
there
amazing.
with my buddy Gabe Swee, and I'd show up at a Panera with my computer, and I'd be like submitting on jobs and stuff in New York, 'cause that's where I was going next. And I remember getting to New York, and the first day I was there, I had auditions. And so shortly after that, I booked a
How
role-
old were you at this point?
21, 22, I guess. And then I joined a theater company there shortly after called the Michael Chekhov Theater Company. I don't think that they had anything to do with actually Michael Chekhov. The guy who ran it was like, he was like a cowboy in New York. He did only Sam Shepard plays. I think he had like 3 or 4 heart attacks while I was working there.
And
But
then
it was
it
just a
wasn't your
seminal
fault.
moment for me.
It wasn't your acting that gave him a
hope
heart
not.
attack. Okay. Okay, I hope so. I hope
I
so.
mean, that's dedication. If you haven't had 3 or 4 heart attacks on every production, are you really
He
dedicated?
took me one day. I was like, "Hey, I want to learn more about this." And he was like, "Come with me. We're gonna go get a New York Times interview." And I was
Bring
like,
that defibrillator with you.
and he's just chain smoking cigarettes, and so am I at the time. We're walking through, and he's going to an office of a journalist that he knows, being like, "We're gonna put this show up in a month. Sam Shepard's approved it. You came last time. You're gonna love it this time. I want you to commit to us right now that you're gonna be there. Handshake agreement type thing." And like, I mean, like, I think he was wrong in a lot of ways. And I think that the way that he ran that theater company was probably abusive to a lot of people and all of that stuff. But like, that's kind of what I saw in New York, which was like, you want to get something done, you better fucking hustle.
Sounds about right.
I mean, like my dad's grew up as a farmer. When I was in Ireland, I went out there and I worked on the farms. I woke up early and did that stuff. And when you're playing hockey, ice time is so expensive that, you know, when you're a kid, you're trying to get it cheap. And so the team would schedule 5 a.m. practices, which means you're up by 4 a.m. and you're there for the team. And that's the other part, doing a team sport. Like, it's not just you. I need to go and be good enough so that A, I can perform, but also so that my team doesn't feel let down by me. And that's what this is. This is a team sport, what we're doing, you know, for the most part.
It absolutely is, and that's a really good point, because I think for me that was rugby. Rugby gave me that, because rugby is so team focused. It was incredible, because I'd come from a soccer background. What really amazed me was how everything was for the team. Nothing was individual. You put your body on the line for this team. It was the team, and I think a lot of actors don't realize how much of a team sport this is, and I think that harms them, because
because we're free agents. It's because we pop in and we play a special role on this team. We're the kicker for the fucking, the finale or whatever it is. And we want to be the quarterback.
Yeah.
And so there's like a resistance to being the kicker and like coming in and doing that filling that role. The stuff that really pays really well. That's a blessing. That's great. I love that. Right. But
sure.
like, I don't have the patience to wait for just that to happen. So like, I've got a sketch series with my buddy, because I'm like, fuck it. I can run a writer's room with my buddy, right? Fuck it. I don't care about quality right now. It's all disposable. We have Hyatt spending millions and millions and millions of dollars on a commercial campaign that's going to last for 8 weeks. Nobody's going to remember it. I just put out maybe the worst sketch I've ever put out in my life. And it's so freeing, man. We had 2 views on YouTube to start. And I think for some people that would have demoralized them, and I couldn't.
I watched it twice. I did not enjoy it. Just to make sure, I was like, that couldn't have been as bad as I first thought it was, so I watched it again. No, I'm joking. I haven't seen the sketch.
It's so funny. I'm gonna get more views just because of this, but you can listen to the end of the sketch, and the sketch is stupid. It's a dog gets into the Nutella or the
I saw that on
Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's lovely. It was my idea, and my buddy graciously was like, sure, let's do it. I didn't have the ending for it, but instead I got live audio of him reacting to how bad the sketch was. And so I just inserted that at the end, and I just thought that was such a lovely little happy accident.
Yeah,
I love that.
It's a great point, though, about not waiting, because I think like what you said there is key. Like, I don't have the patience to wait, but also waiting is like the most powerless state you can be in. I always feel like that. The waiting is such a horrible place to be, because there's no power in it. There's no creativity in it. So what you're doing, and this is, I think, a feature of you in general as a person that I have seen over the years, is like your mind is always working towards what's the next thing. And at the moment it's classes and you teaching and teaching the business of acting. And I think it's I think so many actors and creative people in general can learn from the way that you operate and the way that you view things and the way you look at the world. I think that's such a valuable asset, and I think it really shows in your career.
Thanks, man. I'm trying to give that to as many of my colleagues and some of my students as well. Like, I run a business class, and I'm like, I'm not going to tell you the perfect strategy. I don't know it. There's a lot of people who might, and they're going to give it to you. What I want you to do is collect materials, collect your stuff so that you get ideas. If you go out and you get a bunch of wood, you know how to build the fire. But you can't build the fire without the wood. And so you got to go and collect this wood, and you're like, that's a cool place that maybe I can come back for berries, and you're generating these ideas just by it being in the process of doing the thing. And so I'm having people just spend 10 minutes a day going like, somebody sent me, I have them check in every day. Somebody just sent me like, I thought of this sketch. I wrote it up, and then I found 2 casting directors that I really want to work with, and and I just think like that's the momentum. It's just like I can get something done today for myself and for my career. It doesn't have to, like, I have no fucking fail safe here, guys. Like, there's no net.
Same.
I've never had
Same.
one.
Same.
And for some people that doesn't work, and I respect that. But I think 10 minutes a day at least.
Let me ask you this. Do you, because this is, and I think this is somewhat of a cultural thing, like there's a kind of an Irish thing where I don't want to bother anybody and sort of overthinking, knocking on doors and pushing. Is that something that you have in you, or is that not a consideration?
No, I mean, I think I even bothered you guys to come on this podcast. I was like, hey guys, I can do that. I think I've got some shit to say about that.
I think this was a mutual bothering.
Yeah,
I think this was a mutually agreed
I
bothering.
don't even know Mickey, and I don't see an ounce of hesitation from him. And if anything, I'm going to guess that's his East Coast New York side that kind of overpowers it. Maybe, but I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No, you're 100% right. You go down the street in New York, and anybody will give you the time of day so long as you don't waste their time. If you say, hey, I'm trying to get here, what's the best way? They'll go, all right, you're going to go down the street, go there. But you go, so sorry to bother you. I'm in this situation. They're like, fuck you, pal. I'm out of here.
Someone just did that to me 5 minutes ago. You're completely right.
What was the early buzz of it for you? Like, was there a moment when you thought, oh, this is what I want to do? Or was it always just there because you had done it as a kid? Like, was there like a kind of a light switch moment?
That story is really important because all throughout when I was growing up, I was, Mickey's the storyteller. Mickey's the actor, Mickey's the liar, Mickey's the troublemaker, Mickey's the talker, whatever. And so, I'd be walking home from school alone and I'd be making up jingles or inventing products or like talking to myself. And then, I think anytime you have a massive life change, you kind of have to slow down and consider like, what are the options from here? So after hockey, it was like hockey, what you were saying, Econ, about earlier about athletes, I think it makes total sense. Athletics is performance. Usually we don't do it without people there watching, at least professionally. There is a show to be had. You have to prepare your body for the thing. You have to prepare your mind. You have to have a mindset going into it that is just so sound. And now we're learning more and more about like how to support yourself in that journey. People are like, I think if you would have told somebody 100 years ago, not 100, yeah, fucking 100 years ago, the best way that you prepare for hockey is you should be playing soccer. They'd say you're fucking you're a lunatic. And now it's like you should be playing soccer, you should be meditating, you should do some breath work. And I think we're just learning so much about the similarities between high performers in any category. You have executives who are getting coaching from actors on how to communicate. I don't know that there's a more valuable class of people than creatives. Yeah. I really don't. And I think that right now everybody's like, oh, not so valuable. Even we are like, we'll do it for nothing. We'll do it for whatever.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that we have something here.
I think you're right because it's usually the first thing to get cut. You know what I mean? It's the first thing that people go, well, that's not worth our tax dollars. Why are we doing that? Which is why, the scheme in Ireland, the sort of basic wage, basic income for artists, I think is so... and I think it could be wider reaching than it is, but the fact that it exists and it's a pilot program and they've expanded it is hugely encouraging because I think it just sends a very strong message that we do value the arts because I think you're absolutely right. I think it's such a valuable section of society that really fuels a lot for people.
I tell my sister, who's a high school teacher, I tell everyone it's so valuable to get into an acting class. Teachers understand teaching is performing too. If you're a doctor, you need to know your presence, communicating. We also had a professional athlete on our show. I would guess that there are a lot of days that you don't enjoy practicing. There are a lot of boring things that you dread. Like, how did you get that grit?
Spite. I think spite was a big one. I don't like to be told that I can't do a thing or that I'm not good at a thing or that I should do something else. For me, for this stuff, like, this has just been so fucking enjoyable. Like, when I was growing up, my mom was big on, like, giving us good work ethic in the sense of, like, you want to complain about having free time or being bored? I got a buddy of mine who runs a construction crew. You can go work for them for 3 weeks. And I make pretty good money doing, like, hardwood floors or this or that, but that's hard work, man. Like, it is. I could not imagine right now being, 37 and showing up on a construction site with my back. Even right now, like, I tweaked my back earlier this week, and your family's relying on your back working,
I'll tell you what, my back is sore just from all the podcasting that we've been doing. So I feel you. And you also talked about how you put out a sketch and it was freeing for you that it didn't matter how many views. It took me years to do something consistently. It was actually this podcast. And then this podcast was the learning moment. Okay, this is what it's like to do it every week. So how long has it been with the sketch project?
Let me give you the long answer. The long answer is it's been forever. It's taken my whole life, right? Like in the same way that but there's a key component of this, which is it takes the right time and the right people. And so like you guys found each other.
Yeah.
And each of you are willing to show up for each other. And like some weeks I'm sure Rian is sleeping and some weeks I'm sure you're sleeping, but like you show up and you get the thing done.
Yeah.
So I went to go work on this short film a few years ago called The Coder with this director that I fucking loved. He just showed up every fucking day, so jazzed and enthusiastic to be there. which I think is a really invaluable skill. Just like a childlike joy for like every choice, even the mistakes, just like, yes, this is it. I was working on it, and there's this guy who I'm working with who's with the same agency with me, and we just started chatting, and we got along really well, and his name's James Dawson. He's one of the most fucking talented, funny, real, hardworking people I know. And he had more editing skills than I did. He's funnier than I am, like, by far. Like, he didn't come up with that stupid fucking dog sketch. I did, you know? I'll own that one. And he'll tell me, he's so honest with it. He's like, Mick, you're just not, this isn't funny. One of the jobs that I had done coming up as an actor to pay rent so I could be available, I'm a part of a freelance think tank. So I get sent out to come up with ideas. I'm literally the fucking idea guy, and I'm really good at it. I'm really good at not judging my ideas. There's like two parts of creativity. There's here, and then there's here. In the beginning, I'm really good at this part. It's hard for me to select the ideas of which one's going to be the best.
Edit.
Yeah. And like choose, like if you got 5 takes, I'm the guy who calls Reen. I'm like, honestly, I have no fucking idea, man. Like, which one is it? Like, they're all good to me. I love them all. I hate them all. If I watch them again, I think I might shoot myself.
Yeah. I'm terrible for that too.
I think as creatives we all are, and I think that's the thing that we're all working on is like one or the other. And so I reached out to him and I was like, hey, I've tried this with a few other people. Friends who like I bought a bunch of equipment and then nobody showed up and I like resented them for it. I have this idea. I think I can run a writer's room. I think I have an idea of how to do it. I don't know if it's the way that it's done necessarily, but I have a way to generate ideas. And if we can record that and then we can come back the second day. So we're just going to spitball ideas here. We're not going to write anything down. We're not going to let that slow us down. We're just going to put it on an audio recording. We're going to come back the next week. We're going to listen to it together. We're going to stop and go, that's an idea. That's an idea. That's an idea. That's an idea. Then we're going to put those ideas down and we're going to go, can we shoot some of these? And then I was like, that's my goal right now. All I want to do is see if we could do this as a writer's room. Just you and me. Nobody's paying us. None of this shit. We just have time. So we did that. And then we're left with all these ideas. And it's like, I guess maybe we should shoot a few of these fucking things. It's like, well, I don't know how to fucking shoot I was like, you know what I do know how to do? I do know how to do a self-tape. So I'm going to set up my camera and I'm going to set up your camera. We're going to light the room so that we don't have to do lighting for 2 different shots. And then we're both good at improvising. So we're going to have a basic idea of the script. And we're just going to do like 10 takes. And then it's essentially a 2-cam setup where we're recording live improvisation, and then we're using the highlights from that improvisation in the edit. And so we did that for a really long time, and the goal was always a year. And then we called a buddy of mine really early, and we're like, hey, can you help us produce this? And he was like, come back to me when you've tried to do it on your own for a little while. I think thinking
Smart friend.
like, super smart. And he's a busy guy. He's a good producer here in Chicago. He's a teacher. And so recently we called, and I said, we've been doing the thing. And he goes, I know, I've been watching. I'm really excited. And I was like, you have a few sets that are pre-built. What are the odds that we might be able to come on there, use some of your students, and shoot on them? And he was like, tell me when. So we did. And then that was the first time that we shot horizontal instead of vertical. That forced us to then learn how to color. So I had to call a friend of mine and say, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And he goes, let me show you. And that time he showed me. He did the thing for me. What this all comes down to is I love learning, and I figured out a way that I learn. I think there's a quote in like martial arts is like, you learn the way broadly. And I don't know if this means what it's supposed to mean, but to me what it means is everybody learns a different way. And you can learn anything you want so long as you figure out your way of learning. My way is reps, and I need to be doing the thing. And so I create a circumstance where I have to do the thing.
I love all of this. Was the think tank just the first nugget to be like, let me just see idea creation and see where that goes?
Yes, it taught me that it was my brain worked in a really valuable way, and that I was really good at allowing myself to come up with ideas as solutions for problems, to the point where, McDonald's has paid me quite a bit of money to be able to do what they can't do. Why don't I take that and use it elsewhere? And so I do that with my students. That do that when I have comedy scripts. I come up with 100 different ways that I might say the line if the director goes riff. So that it's not like, improvise in the moment. It's like, no, I got my shit ready to go. So yeah, it's just collecting wood.
So how do you choose, does it have to be funny to both of you, or how do you, like, what's
It's
the
usually
benchmark?
something honest, right? Like I went for dinner with the family a few months ago, and around this point, I'm a pretty big advocate for immigrants and immigrant rights, and just fucking constitutional rights here. And I had an experience where I saw somebody being abducted by what I can only assume is ICE, and I don't know, like I just started fucking chasing them on feet, and I think some people in the neighborhood were looking at me proud, and then some people I think were scared, thinking that I was ICE, because I look like a fucking ICE officer. I look like a cop. So, so I went out for dinner with my family, and I realized that everybody was fucking looking at me. Everybody was looking at me like, "Ah, you fucking asshole, you're probably one of them."
Wow.
And I went, fuck. So I called my buddy up and I said, I think this is a sketch. I think it's a sketch to try to go out for dinner with your family, and they won't let you go out because you look like a fucking ICE officer. And so he said, that's great. Fucking, can you film it this week? And I said, yeah. So I grabbed my kid and my friend Natalie, and I said, here's the sketch. We shot it in half an hour. And that thing, I say that, like, I don't care about views. It's great when they happen. I think that thing got like 120K views or something on it. But it only comes out of truth. So part of the writer's room process for us is we'll sit down and we'll go, what's been up lately for you? You ever get this note, like, can you be a little more honest in your on-camera work? You ever get this note? I got this note. I didn't know what the fuck it meant. And so I went,
What a horrible note. I mean, I'm sorry. That's just a horrible note.
I just want Mickey to be a little more honest in his work. And I'm like, fuck you. I'm reading fake
What does
lines.
that even mean, though? You know what I mean? It's such a weird note.
But so here's what I think it means. So I sat with it. I called my mentor up, Chris, in North Carolina. I said, what the fuck? And he goes, and now I don't even feel like the words that are coming out of my mouth are mine. He's like, they're not.
Yeah.
But what he's dealing with is he has students, he teaches at a university, and they come in and they're afraid to say their opinion on a thing because they've spent their entire childhood growing up where they can edit everything that they put out. They don't want to say the wrong thing. They don't want to say something that before they have a fully formed idea or whatever. And that's a problem for artists because sometimes you're going to say the wrong thing. Sometimes it's not a fully formed thought. And it's important that you kind of say it out loud and then also combat with yourself about that. And so he gave me this exercise, which is like turn on a camera. Not selfie mode, so you're not watching yourself. And set a timer for 5 minutes. And the same way that you free write on your computer for a writer, it's like type. You do the same thing, but just for your thought. So this is my exercise every day now. It's like I need to figure out what it is to be truthful and honest with myself and my thoughts.
That's amazing.
And that's not just the first thing that comes out of your mouth. It's you working it out. And so if we're afraid of sharing that, then like how am I supposed to know when I'm being honest in front of a camera as well if I'm not familiar with that feeling?
I love that exercise. I remember Heath Ledger, and part of his genius, he was always experimenting and watching himself on camera.
But now we're bringing other people on board. We've got a bit of a process together, and it's just a matter of like every Sunday it's got to get done. Ideas are not about judge the idea. It's get the idea. The idea is valuable. Sometimes the idea is getting in the way of another idea. So sometimes when I work for these ideation companies, my job isn't to come up with a great idea. My job is to say a really stupid fucking idea because you have a really good idea you were afraid to say because you thought it was a really stupid fucking idea. And you've worked for the company for 15 years. So your idea is better.
I didn't realize you had roots over at Leslie's. Leslie had one of her first contests was basically create a project. That's the reason why I learned how to edit. I learned how to edit doing it just for a silly project, for a silly contest, and I made my first sketch. And ever since then, that's what started it all. So
access is everything.
I didn't realize you started your journey in New York. How long were you in New York before Chicago?
Yeah, so I was in New York for about 2 years-ish, and I worked all the time because I basically had housing taken care of. I don't mean this in a facetious way, but like my advice to actors moving to New York is find somebody who has a basement that you can do housework for rent. so that you have the ability to go and audition for everything and anything. They have a 99-seat showcase rule in New York. I think is a beautiful thing where you can work with like fucking actors who are on Broadway or like in between shows who want to do this. Like I worked with a guy named Jeff Still, one of my favorite actors in New York. While he was understudying Lombardi on Broadway, he would go and check in. They didn't need him, and then he would come and do this Waiting for Lefty show. And I got to do that, and I made very, very little, a stipend or whatever. But, like, that's mentorship. That's training. That's what you have available to you in New York. I went to go work at Michael Howard Studios, and people... I remember going to the bathroom one day, and I was in a stall, and I heard this guy singing. I was like, that's the motherfucker I just saw on Broadway the night before. So I did that. And then I got scared. A teacher called me. He was like, you're doing great. Aren't you ever scared? It's like, we're just coming out of the financial crisis. Aren't you scared that you don't have backup? And so I went back to school, and I failed so fucking hard. I told all my professors, I said, hey, I'm just going to focus on getting my gen eds. Don't ask me to do any theater. And somebody came up to me and said, hey, how about a stage reading? I was like, I can do a stage reading.
Instantly, yes. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Instantly. And then it turned into a stage performance and like fucking rehearsals all the time. And I fucked up. Came back to Chicago. I did a play here in Chicago. I was living out of my Jeep. A buddy of mine found out that I was living in my Jeep in the winters in Chicago. And he was like, come stay with my family. His family took me in. God, one of the best families I've ever met in my life. I stayed there off and on for 2 years while I tried to get my shit together. Their father is kind of he just passed away. David Cormell is a gem of a human. I moved to LA for just under a year. I moved back to Chicago. Thought I had housing. I did not. So I got a job, doing Greenpeace in Chicago.
Oh, yeah. Do you have a minute to talk? About the environment?
One of the kids in the family came up to me and he was like, where are you going today? I was like, I got to go do Greenpeace. He was like, what if you didn't? I was like, you can do that. You guys are like letting me stay here. You're feeding me for free. Like, I was like, our family loves you. I'm lucky in that sense. So when I tell people like, go find these things, it's because that's what I know. All I know is that I've been so fucking fortunate to be supported by so many different people. And maybe part of the grit and hustle for me is going like, I don't want to let myself down, but I don't want to let those people down either. They sacrificed a great deal so that I could pursue this job. It would feel like a spit in the face to not give it.
It just seemed like there were so many outside factors that would scare the bejesus out of a lot of people, but somehow the acting journey always still found you, and then here you are. You can tell the story.
Yeah, I love that. And kind of what you said there about, if you have the opportunity to act, you should. Like Brandon Finn, one of the guests we had on, talked about, and it's kind of similar. He talked about being on Chief of War and seeing people away from their families, and they shot in Hawaii and then they shot in New Zealand, and his take from that was like, it's up to you to really be grateful for it and do the best job you can, because, make it count. People are sacrificing a lot to be here, so make it count.
We shot Mayor of Kingstown, and we got an episode for them coming up soon. And I had listened to this interview with a marathon runner, and they were like, did you know that most marathon runners don't sleep the night before their biggest marathons? They just can't sleep. And that gave me so much confidence. I was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
I'd always been like the night before you get nervous and you're like, fuck, I better stop being nervous. I'm going to figure this shit out. I'm going to go to sleep. You're going to shut your eyes. You're like, come on, go to sleep.
Yeah. Here's a story about, so there's an Irish, kind of a famous Irish runner. And the night before, I don't know, was it the Olympics? It was a massive race anyway. And he was, in his prep, he was trying to like get the most advantage he could. So the night before the race, he thought, well, maybe I'll just shave my legs to like cut down. He was trying to think of anything he could do. He did that for the first time the night before the biggest race of his life. He said he was burning up with it. His skin was so dry and itchy, he didn't sleep a wink. So he had chosen. That's how that can trip you up as well. That feeling of how do I make the best of it?
Control this?
Yeah, exactly.
And
how do I control this?
You're going to show up the next day, and the temperature is going to be different than the temperature that you ran to train in. Your shoes are going to fit different. You're going to have a different belief than you had yesterday because you woke up and some fucking guy threw a cup of coffee at your windshield. Like, you can't control it. All you could do is prepare. So I was sitting there the night before, and I had that feeling, and it's a finale, and it's a great scene. I get to work with some people that I've wanted to work with my whole life, and I realized I was like, and there's all this fucking talk now in our industry about this could be the end, like AI could take over our jobs, whatever. And I went, wow, if this is the last finale I ever get to do, how do I want to do it? Like, and then I started visualizing it and imagining, like, just like doing it the way I want it. The way that, like, that little part in my brain where I was like, oh, that's interesting. No, you shouldn't try that. Like, that's, just play it by the books, be risk-free. I'm like, no, there's a fucking finale. This is supposed to be a banger. Then you go watch your finales of, like, Breaking Bad every season. You're like, whoa.
Yeah.
And so why, like, I don't know, like, I've been tentative in the past, and, like, who knows? It'll come out and I might go, oh, that didn't work.
It's a really good point, and it kind of leads me to, there's a couple things I want to just hit with you, because I know we've limited time here, but what was it like stepping up to a quote-unquote bigger set, network TV? Was that any different from you? Was that intimidating, or did you take to it very naturally, or how was that for you?
To me, it's easier. I had worked on, like, my first TV gig, I think, was an investigation discovery, like recreation scene of some guy murdering somebody, like.
Oh yeah.
And, like, when you're doing stuff that's super independent and you don't have a lot of money, you're against time, and you're trying to figure out ways to, like, oh, the boom is over there, like way over there. We're not recording camera audio, but it's a close up. And he's like, so am I supposed to fucking shout these lines here? Like, how do you make that work? How do you fit a triangle into a square hole? And so when you get on a big set, like, everything's taken care of. Oh, come on in. We're ready for you now. Oh, you got your wardrobe ready for you. Oh, don't worry, you spilled some coffee on there. We've got a second. Do you need, anything from Crafty before we go over? Oh, the lines have changed. Here they are. Oh, you raised your coffee cup on this line. You just go ahead and do that again on the next one. Like, God, what a fucking freeing place to go and explore. Like, it's a team. I've been on a few different jobs. My first job was kind of a wild and messy one. I was on Chicago PD for 2 episodes in the second season, and I had the audition in the morning. I went to a table read for a play that I was doing. On my way there, I got a phone call. I was being put on hold. While I was at the audition, they were like, I was coming in for 2 lines, which was like, it wasn't me, it was him, And the director was like, I like how you don't look like a rat to me, he said. So why don't you take these 5 pages, go out in the hallway and memorize them, and come back in. And I was like, okay. And I went out, and this other guy had the same note. And I looked at him and I said, I'll help you, you help me. Whoever wins, wins. And I was like, okay. And so we both ran the lines.
Oh my God.
They called me in, and I couldn't remember the guy that I was supposed to eventually, give up.
Yeah.
And so I stalled. And then I confessed. And the guy's like, I just loved how you didn't want to give the guy up, So I shouldn't have got the role at all, You learn this if you watch TV. The last moment of the scene is probably a close-up. And you could build. It's all about contrast. So, like, I was steamrolling through the scene. I didn't fucking do it. You got the wrong guy, this, that, or the other. And he's like, who did it? I'm not going to tell you. Who did it? And you're like, it was Bobby. But I took that whole time, and time dilates when you're under stress. So to me, it felt like a year. I leave, I get put on hold, and then I get to the table read, and I turn my phone off, because phones are fucking distraction machines for me. And I take lunch, 2 hours later, I turn my phone on. I've got 20 missed calls, and my agent's like, hey, they want to know if they can shoot you tonight on the previous episode. It's going to be a cliffhanger. And I was like, yeah. So I told the people at the play, I was like, I got to get out of here. I rode my bike home. I got some clothes on. I rode my bike down to CineSpace. This is the studio that we shoot some of the stuff here in Chicago. And I didn't know anything. I didn't have a fucking script, so there's no time to prepare or get nervous or anything like that. I don't know the role. I got fucking fed the role right before the audition. So I went in. We got brought to location. And the stunt guy comes up. He goes, you're the shooter, right? And I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, sure. There's no time. There was no time for me to, like, oh, wow, it's this stage. I think I did have one moment where I looked around, and it was a Friday night. And we were on location, and I'm looking around at all the lights and the people in the neighborhood, and the cops are there, shutting off streets and stuff. And I went, fuck, this costs a lot of money. So when he came up to me, he was like, all right, so here's what you're going to do. You're going to open the door. Don't touch the the bar because there's gonna be some glass on it. This is afterwards. He's like, open the door, come in slowly. Sophia Bush will be like 5 feet ahead of you. Don't get too close. Wait, and then go in, and then you're gonna draw your weapon. You're gonna go pop, 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 and then they're gonna return fire, go pop, pop. You're gonna run behind the jukebox. They're gonna flip over a table. They're gonna go pop, pop. You're gonna go pop, pop, pop. And the whole time I'm going like, those lights are so expensive. It's Friday night. We're in overtime. We're in double time. I'm counting the pops on my fingers. I'm like, okay, pop, 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 jukebox, pop, pop. And he's like, you got it? And I was like, let's do it. I think I fucked it up too. I think we had to reshoot it the next week.
That was the master plan. The master plan is reshoot it and get another day rate.
Fucking A, man.
No, I was just gonna say that's a great story, and it's a good. My first TV job here was Chicago Fire, and it was similar. Like, I loved every second of it, and I had a great time in the audition, and I was chatting to the director of the episode, and we had a friend in common, and I just came away feeling really good. And because I've talked to actors who, like, you know, are so stressed out on set, like when it's a bigger job, that it overwhelms them and they don't enjoy it, they miss it. But at my first day on Chicago Fire, the director says, okay, we're going to shoot it in an American accent because I was playing an American character. In the audition, he had made me do it both ways, Irish and American. On the day, he's like, all right. He's like, we're going to shoot it in American, but we're also going to shoot it Irish. And then at the end, he's like, do one take where it's like super over the top Irish. And he said it to Cara Kilmer, who I was doing the scene with, who was a series regular at the time. He's like, and he goes, you do a crazy Irish accent as well. It'd be hilarious. And I was like, oh, mate, it's my first fucking day here. Please don't make me do this. And the crew were kind of confused. We moved on. But it was like that thing of like, oh, God. But I love the idea that, like, you can just jump into that set and go, okay, let's do it.
It's risky, though, isn't it, sometimes?
It's
totally, a risk.
Totally.
You're taking a big
risk. Yeah.
I think I grew up watching, like, some of my favorite people are like Meryl Streep, Nicolas Cage.
Heard of her? Yep.
Well, yeah. Like, I love watching them because it's full on. Like, there's a clip from Face Off. It's a behind the scenes clip of Nicolas Cage, and he's in the magnetic prison. And he's got to, like, choke John Travolta, and he's like, die! And then yell, cut, and John Travolta's like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
And I don't love this idea. I think there's a risk aversion to, like, I understand why less. Everyone's like, less. You could do less.
Yeah.
And you can. But you can also do more. You can also go for it. And I think that is a valuable thing to realize, that it is dependent on it is dependent on all of the circumstances, dependent on the tone of the movie or the show or whatever. And I think it's important to find the edge, and auditioning especially. Most of them are not going to go your way. Most of them are not for you. And so I make them for me. Like, I auditioned for this thing the other day, and I'm supposed to, the beginning of the scene is like, you can hear the menacing steps as the person walks through this basement, and then he appears, and I'm like, oh, how the fuck do I do this? So I set up my camera, and I slam my boot on the chair, and I tie my shoe while I start the scene. And I just think, like, that's a really interesting way to enter the frame. It's a really interesting way to, like, have the status in the room, is that, like, I don't need to sit for you. I don't need to rush to my seat. I don't need to do any of that shit. And then I watch it, I'm like, yeah, good enough. And so it's a problem-solving thing for me. If, like, I don't want to have egg on my face having not made a decision. I don't want to be the person who shows up going, I hope somebody will solve it for me. I've been on enough independent sets where they go, show me what you're thinking. Not, so here's how it's going to go. And if you don't have a way of, like, here's what I was thinking, you're kind of fucked, you know? So then you have to do it their way. I've read enough scripts. I've been a part of enough productions where I see a challenge, which is like, okay, well, I don't have enough room in my space to walk. Am I going to make click-clackety noises to get in? No, that doesn't feel right. What happens if I do less by not changing the frame and I just peek my head into here? So that we're here. I'm like, okay, cool. We got like a cool shadow on my face there. That hits the genre a little bit. And then I don't have to do as much work. You know, like it's what we were taught in fucking English class, which is like your paragraph starts with an intention getter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So where's the attention getter? If the casting director is like, first fucking 3 seconds, I make a decision. Well, I'm not going to rely on them just looking at my face and doing that. I'm like, I want you to fucking watch.
I love this. And it's kind of using your limitations as an advantage or as an opportunity.
That's what method acting is. That's what it's all been born out of is I have a problem, which is I don't know how to show up and regularly do this every night and produce the same type of emotion or produce the same type of interaction. So like, how can I engineer a way to do that? Your circumstances are basically like who, what, where, when, how, what the fuck maybe, or how I felt about it. And then, like, so if you answer those questions, you'll get ideas.
Yeah. Specificity and granularity, I think, are the
It's
key
harder, though, on a big set. That part is harder. Because you have to assume that you have an answer for a solution for an issue that maybe somebody's not saying it. I remember I was doing an episode of Mary Kingstown. I was trying to understand like the blocking, and I remember going like, "So do you like the triangle here?" And he was like, "Let me worry about the cinematography." And I was like, "Fair. That's a totally fair thing."
You've been so gracious with your time. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you. We were chatting about something on Instagram.
Yes.
Now, I mean, we didn't talk in depth, but I was really curious if you had thoughts. Now, if you made the comparison between the Hollywood industry and the professional sports industry, and you were saying that Hollywood could learn a lot from how professional sports did it. This is where we talk about these things. So
I love this. So I do the ideation business because I realize I'm an inventor, but I don't want to bring anything to market. Like that's a process that just is like, what a slog, man, I tell you. So at the risk of losing potentially millions of dollars, I'll just tell it to you here, which is I think that we develop athletes. Professional teams will develop athletes. It's called farm teams. It happens all of the time. And it's a diligent process. There are people who are designed to help. And what we have, I guess, are showcases, but I think that's a bunch of bullshit. I think that's an opportunity for studios to get talent, to see talent, or to cross off a tax incentive for them, whatever it is. But I don't think that it is as much of a guidance. Let me connect you with a mentor. Let me help you develop this. They're not funding your independent movie and going like, here, just take the money and go like learn. We used to do that. The studio system in Hollywood was a little bit different, where it was like, you'd be really wonderful if you went to a speech class. Let me pay for that speech class. Let's keep you on contract. The other thing that I would say is that we have this Moneyball idea in sports, which is like, yeah, he's a great, he's an okay shortstop, but his skills, the stats really say that he belongs at first base. And we can't afford to get the first baseman from the Yankees. So let's get this guy over in the position where he can really excel because also our catcher has a really good relationship with that shortstop. And I think that that communication would work really well. There is so much data being left on the table. Everybody's afraid that AI is going to take an agent's job or an actor's job or a casting director's job. And I think my thing is like, AI side, I've been thinking about this for years, which is like, there isn't a place on your Actors Access that says if you've worked with that writer before or if you've worked on a project that writer directed. It's just that there is data on all of us from sending in auditions that has nothing to do with our appearance. I think that shows up in film as well. It shows up in TV and commercial. But I think the data is just being left on the table because everyone's just obsessed with the way that people look. If when you are being submitted on a project, it also said it gave data to support or even think about like, hey, here are the breakdown terms that I'm putting in for this character to be sent out to agents. And the agent pulls it up on their roster and it goes, you don't know this, but this actor worked with this writer 5 years ago, and they have a really good relationship. You could see that from the 4 projects that he's been brought in on that he will get called back on. That makes the casting and the agent look good by bringing in that actor that they wouldn't have generally been thought of for that role because they don't match all of the descriptions. Or it's an age issue. And I think it kind of breaks through a little bit of discrimination as well because I don't know that the breakdown is always right.
I think that's brilliant. I mean, if anything, it's talking about the limitations of the gatekeepers, casting directors, and agents.
It is bonkers to me that we make so many movies that don't make money.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Well, Mickey, you are a genius, and the studios will get to this after Paramount and Netflix are done fighting for, the keys to the kingdom. They will get to this. They will get to this. Anyway, so I do want to get to the business side of the acting, your classes, a little bit about what you're teaching and also how your journey has contributed to it.
Yeah, so I did a movie in 2017, I think, called Driftless. I worked with this guy, Colton Bay Adams, great actor, and he came up to me after the thing and he said, "Hey, we live in Chicago. We live close to each other. I like what you're doing. Would you be my mentor?" And I said, "No." And I was like, "I don't know."
Okay.
That was a really great story.
Yeah, and that's it. I just say no to people. And then finally I thought about it and I was like, okay, let's do it. But here's the deal. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So I'm going to try a lot of shit. And some of it might not work. And so we worked together for about a year. And I noticed that like there were certain things that he did that I had done in the past. Where I was like, that doesn't work, does it? And so I started reflecting my own process and I would go and then he would leave and I would go in front of the camera and I'd use the same sides and I'd go like, I can't figure this out or whatever. And then sometimes a few days later it would come to me and I'd reach out to him and I'd go, let's try that again. I started taking a class with Leslie Kahn, and some of her stuff really fucked with me, man. Like it really fucked with my head where I was like, I don't fucking get it. You know, every once in a while I would just stop thinking about it and this shit would happen. It would work. Okay. So I docked that, and then I took a few classes here in Chicago, one with AJ Langston. I learned a little bit about her process of like reading a script and reading it out loud. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. Of course, we don't get paid to fucking say the lines inside of our head. And then I took another class with Brittany Ward here in Chicago, and I was so obsessed with the technical aspects. And she was like, good acting's good acting. And I went, oh my God, she's absolutely fucking right. If you answer the fucking circumstances, if you're committed, it doesn't matter what frame it is. We have Denzel Washington fucking screaming out of focus in the end of Training Day, improvising in the diner scene. And it's fine. So anybody who tells you like you can't yell in a close-up, they're fucking wrong. There's evidence out there. You just have to find it and have a reason to believe in it and then choose. So I did all of these things, and then Brittany asked me if I would teach a class of hers. And I was like, again, no, I don't know what I'm doing. And she was like, I will pay you, and I think you do know what you're doing, and I'll get the students together, and I'll help you. Any questions you have? And so I did that, did 2 sessions of that. She closed her studio to go pursue more writing and directing. She's phenomenal. I highly recommend working with her. And then I went to a few different studios around town, and I pitched a curriculum. Came up with a curriculum of what I thought was important. And that is, like, first and foremost, we're in a self-tape world. I hated self-tapes for a very long time. It made me think about quit acting. I found a way to love it, so I want to give that to other people of like, here's my approach to this so that you can enjoy this more and own it. The second is voice. I think that voice is a really important aspect of being on camera. Sometimes it's just thinking about like somebody will tell you to do less, and it's really like actually the person's only 2 feet away from your face. If you were talking that close to somebody's face at that volume level, you would scare them away. So like just reduce your volume. And I learned that from a book called Secrets of Screen Acting by Patrick Tucker.
Oh yeah, I know that book.
Yeah,
it's great.
and like there's good stuff in there, there's bad stuff in there, there's stuff that was specific to film work that still applies, and there's stuff that isn't. And so I've learned from all these different books. So voice, and then it's TV, and we just talk about like why is TV the way that TV is, and then lights off.
Oh wow,
that's it, guys. I'm out.
Nice.
TV is a strange thing because it used to be run by ads and now it's run by subscribers, and like what are the things that the subscribers want versus what the advertisers wanted, and how does that affect our job? And then we get into film, which is like, the amount of times I've been on a film set where somebody told me to like take my time. And then I didn't, and then the movie's 4 minutes shorter than it needs to be in order to be sold to a streamer. And it's like, I could have taken fucking 7 minutes on this scene. They could have cut out the shit that they didn't want. And so it's having the patience and the poise, and then also knowing the arc of what a film is and what a story is and what role do you play within that. And then understanding that like some independent filmmakers are choosing not to buy a fucking house. And are you the type of actor who's going to show up unmemorized to that audition when I'm not gonna fucking risk my financial security on you if you can't be memorized. And so just understanding it like film as an asset or a liability, and understanding that aspect of it, I think is really important to understanding why you make certain choices, why you show up on time. I'm memorized on that movie before I even fucking step foot on that set for the first day, because they might go, hey, we lost our location, we got to shoot the last scene. And if I want to enjoy
right.
that fucking job, I got to have the whole thing ready to go. And then it's high stakes because I am just naturally a very intense person, and I want people to believe that they can go there and and that the camera's not going to be upset about it. And there are certain techniques that you can use. I think, like, what's his name? He's a LA self-tape guy who does beautiful self-tapes. John,
Hot
forgetting
Shots?
his last. Yes.
Yeah, John.
Yeah, and he talks about this one thing about like pulling back 20%, and I was like, I don't know if I agree with that. And then I watched him do it, and I was like, that's it. And Secrets of Screen Acting by Patrick Tucker talks about it, which is like, you could think about it as being a hushed tone. You know, if I'm gonna yell, it's gonna be up here. My fucking level's gonna go. But if I'm gonna pull back just 20% here, it's like there's somebody in the other room that might come in and
There's a
interrupt that.
tension.
There's a tension, yeah. And so you can apply those technical things and practice those the same way that I practice my stick handling in my garage. But when you're in a game, you can't be thinking about stick handling. You can't be on set thinking about hushing. You just have to go, the circumstances are, I need you to fucking listen to me right now, because if we go out there and you act that way, everyone's gonna be fucking embarrassed for both of us. Instead of, it makes no sense if I pull my friend over here who's acting like a drunk fool or something, and I don't want to embarrass him. If I yell, then they all know the secret. So I have to invest in circumstances and stories. So anyways, so high stakes week, and then the final week is like, hey, this is how it really goes, which is, hey, we got 3 new pages for you today. Also, there's a train, so in the middle of your really emotional scene, I'm going to ask you to hold and stay really fucking still. Don't drop, because I don't have the ability to cut this scene. And also, would you do it in your weird Irish accent for me? Like, really go for it? And being okay with that and being so prepared and ready to go. Sometimes I'll give people the other person in the scene. I'll tell them to prep on this thing. They have 48 hours. And then I'll go, just kidding. You're actually reading the other role. And it's just a way for you to go, like, you can prepare all you want, but on the day, it's always different. It's always different. If you're doing an indie film, they say the room is blue. You've pictured the room being blue. You've got this whole thing. But on the day, they couldn't afford the blue room, so they got the pink room. And, you know, you're tucked in a corner like this, and you're supposed to give this beautiful poetic speech, but your fucking diaphragm's all fucking cramped. And, like, that's what I've experienced. And so I want to give people that. And then I have an ongoing practice, which is a 4-week, which is like, come with and like, let's practice all the stuff we've learned in there. And then I do a business session, which is like, you need to go gather wood. So you know what to do with that wood. So this is just as simple as like, there's nothing groundbreaking here. If you need to apply to agencies, let's work on your cover letters. Because actors tend to have a really hard time getting tasks done on their own, whether it's a self-belief issue or a time issue or a money issue or an access issue. It doesn't matter. The industry doesn't.
It's also boring, the clerical stuff.
It's so boring, but you have to get it done, and you have to practice that so that you have confidence that you can. So sometimes this is as much as like getting a signature for your email so you don't have to respond to fucking stupid emails of like, you're about to get married and they're like, what are your sizes? And you could just go, check out the Actors Access in my signature, my email. It's got it all there. I'm not reinventing the wheel. I just really care. I give a shit about being there and showing up. And if I have a day where I'm not able to communicate, I like to be able to reach out to my students and go, that wasn't fucking it. And also at the same point, go like, hey, if what I give you doesn't work for you, drop it. Leave it. It's not worth it. If it comes back to you in 5 years and you go, oh, I get it now, great. If it doesn't, the best thing you can learn is how it doesn't work for you. I'm so sick of acting teachers being like, this is the only way to do it. I'm like, there's no fucking one way to do anything. So that's what I do. I teach here in Chicago, and I'll probably be doing some Zoom sessions here soon. I'm still experimenting with that. With any of this shit that I do, I try to have sessions where I go, nobody pay anything. Just show up and let me see if I can figure this shit out. Or else it's not valuable. If I don't feel it's valuable, I don't put it out.
We'll put all the information in the show description, of course, and your website. That's awesome. That sounds amazing.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
This is great. Hidden gems, Mickey. If you have a hidden gem,
you guys go first. I'm really excited. This is my favorite part of your podcast.
Oh yeah. We'll save you for the end. So I do have a gem. Now, it was hidden to me. I was in Joshua Tree for the first time in a long time last weekend. There's Pioneer Town, which is basically this small little pocket that's this western little town. It's really cute. But the kind of like the little landmark is this restaurant called Pappy and Harriet's. It's this long institution in Joshua Tree. Anyway, barbecue, and they have a famous chili cheese dog that I finally got to try for the first time. It was amazing. And yeah, if you're ever in Joshua Tree visiting, they also have an outdoor concert venue. They have an indoor concert venue. It's popping. They have Big X come in there. And so if you're in Joshua Tree, that's the place to be. That's my hidden gem. And get the barbecue and the chili cheese dog.
Nice. So mine is in the spirit of, Mickey talking about his classes and stuff and his business bootcamp and things he's doing himself. There is an actor who's a good friend of mine who does voiceover demos if you're in Los Angeles. His name is Alan Trinka. His website is voicedemodude.com. We'll put the link to it in the description, but he's a really great actor. He's a lovely guy. He does a lot of voiceover, and he will do you a fantastic voiceover demo if you're looking to get a new one or get into voiceover. So that's my hidden gem.
The hidden gem for me is there's this social sauna, outdoor sauna under the elevated tracks here in Chicago. It's run by a group of people that I love, Sarah and Andrew, and this is a place where you can leave your phone in your bag and you go in and you sit in a nice hot room next to other people. It's beautifully designed. It's so warm and vibrant. And there's always different people in there, especially as actors. I think we're just so inundated with being surrounded by our industry and stuff that like going to a place where I could sit next to a teacher or a lawyer or a doctor and hear about their journey and be social with them. And then also, have a really nice sweat. Go sit in a cold pool after that, and it's beautiful. You should look it up, Lost Language Sauna, on Instagram. I do some of the creative work for them as well, and I just love them so much. It's one of those things where it's so easy to work for them because I just believe in it. I think it's great. I think it has the power to totally transform your week.
That's great.
It's so nice to chat with you guys today, man. Thank you guys for having me.
No, thank you for coming on,
thank
man.
you.
It's been a long time coming, and yeah,
we finally got you on. Thank you so much for coming on, buddy.
All right, see you guys soon.